Okay, today I'm gonna go over a quick video teaching you guys how to do reports in Sonoran CAD. We got many different types of reports for both fire and EMS, and I'm gonna go over both of them. Okay, first one we're gonna go to fires. How you find your reports? They're gonna be pinned in the bottom left corner. Okay, if they're not pinned in the bottom left corner, go to I believe it's record management in the bottom drop down and you'll see records. So we're going to open this up, and how you make a new report, obviously, you have new reports and new records. First one we're going to go over is alarm activation form. This is for like a fire alarm, CO2 alarm, something like that. You would obviously make sure you put down the date. So it is the 14th, the street name, and the postal. Okay. Alarm company, reason for alarm. This is a very simple report, very self-explanatory, and you're probably not going to use it a lot, but it is still good to put down. Got your fire response form. Fire response form, you're gonna first thing you're gonna be filling out is the alarm activation time, the date, the street name, the postal, the incident command. So, for example, engine 23. The initial conditions: is there smoke visible? Is there flames visible? Is nothing visible? In so apparatus, you're gonna put down all the apparatus that you've had on the scene, and then the narrative you're gonna give down on how you put out the fire, what were the fire conditions when you arrived on scene, like how you saw it, anything that's noteworthy. For all the reports, there's a narrative section. Besides the alarm activation, you want to put down any worthwhile events that you think might be noteworthy. So even though it might not necessarily be directly to the role play, like let's say a staff issue happens on scene and somebody has to be kicked off the scene, or somebody gets in an argument with you, or anything that could lead to some sort of staff or disciplinary issue, you want to put in this report so we have it documented. Now, I'm not asking for like 5 pages of narration. It can be brief, tell us what happened, and the general basis on what happened. Now, something, especially if it's suspicious, that should go along with the fire response form is the structure fire investigation form. And you got it, obviously your date, you fill out the information stuff. You want to do building information, owner, street name, postal, occupacity, reason for investigation, fire, other, it could be water or something like that. Findings are going to be like, okay, it started from a lightning strike, hit the electric box, and it spread to other rooms and places. Narrative, you're basically going to do exactly what you did in the fire response form. This is just a little bit different though. NVA form, this is something usually you're gonna have two forms filled out when you go on an NVA. If there's if you come with an engine, usually there's gonna be a rescue and an engine that are both gonna go there to the scene. Rescue or an engine, then a medic. The medic is gonna fill out the EMS patient transport form, which we'll get to in a minute, and the engine or rescue is gonna fill out this form. They're gonna fill out obviously the location, uh, crash details. Was there an entrapment? Yes or no? Or were they self extracted? Intrusions? Yes, no, don't know. Airbag deployment? Yes, no. Vehicle? This is actually very useful because if you type in the first few digits of the license plate, or like the first couple, you can find the vehicle and the biggest thing. So I'm pretty sure there's a license plate that starts with 1 or something like that. Or you could do it by name search. So if you have the person's name, you could just search up their name. And for example, this is my other account right here. Uh, Truck. It's a bus. It's dash hound. And you put it in there, and it's very self-explanatory. It also automatically filled this in. We'll get to this one in a second. Pretty much same concept. Records. Search and rescue activation form. You're not really going to be using that a lot unless you're search and rescue, and we don't get a lot of search and rescue calls anyways. Fire marshal inspection form, we don't have a lot of fire marshals. With that being said, we're going to move on to EMS. EMS, same way you get your reports, you go down there, you open up new reports, new records. EMS transport form, okay? Date, location of incident, civilian information. This is one I wanted to get to. Instead of having to fill out everything piece by piece, you just look up their first name or their last name, and their first thing just comes up. And it's very simple. And you can put down, it just fills in all their information automatically. This is call information. Chief complaint is what the patient's mainly complaining of, or the biggest issue in that circumstance. So let's say you have somebody that has chest pain. That's their main complaint. But if they have other things such as like I don't know, nausea or feeling dizzy or something like that, it's not really going to be the chief complaint. The chief complaint is the most serious and the thing that needs the most attention, the thing they're most complaining about. So chest pain would be the chief complaint. Medical issues, you could do a variety of things on this. If the person is hypoglycemic, I don't know how to spell, so just hang in there with me. It's hypoglycemic. If they're having hypoglycemia, you will put that in medical issues. If they're having a heart attack, that's what would go into medical issues. And if you're a paramedic and you can manage to get the rhythms down, you can do ventricular tachycardia, a STEMI rhythm, and things like that. Vital signs, it's very simple. You just put their vital signs in there. Separate them like with brackets, or not brackets, but whatever that 2 dot thing is called, and like pulse, whatever, 50, and make sure you separate them by commas so it looks nice. Intervention conducted would be like, okay, splint. You got a splint. Okay, you put down a splint, and you got that. So if they have like a leg down or something like that, you just put down a splint. Patient transported. Yes, it will always be a less. Yes, facility transported to Chesterfield, something like that. Note section, you're going to give a brief narrative on pretty much everything that happened while you were on scene, included, like I mentioned before, like how it happened, where it happened, and etc., etc., etc. If there's any administration things you want to put in there. You're then going to sign your name, make sure you're signing your name on everything. This is the point where I mentioned that if you leave a case report as open, we will not sign off on it has to be marked as in review because that tells us you're done working on it and it is complete and you are no longer using it and you are no longer working on it. So we're going to move on to the next report. Next report, if it's a patient refusal form. If the person refuses transport to the hospital, you fill this out. Unit number, date, location, civilian information, vital signs, narrative. This is just a different sheet than EMS transport form, except without the place transported to. You got your crew member signature. I'm turning my radio down. You got crew member signature, obviously open in review. Never put it as closed. I'm gonna move on to the drug restock form. This is mainly for paramedics, but EMTs can use it too for things like aspirin. So if you use aspirin on somebody, you want to put down, okay, this is the person I used the aspirin on. This is the run number, so the EMS transport or refusal form number. You want to use supplies use, so 81 milligrams of aspirin. This would goes for the same thing here. You would want to put something else like gauze or something else like that. This is the medication replenished. Did you replenish that aspirin? And you're just gonna leave this as active. Sign your name. Done. Death report. Death report, this was added because obviously there's a lot of deaths. You're going to fill this out. This one you have to fill individually, each and every one out, so it can be a little tedious at times. But this, it's because there's different things like occupation of deceased and stuff like that. There's a little bit more depth to it. Death information. Time of death, it gives you a big time wheel. Make sure you're using your call notes to mark what time of death. Did the death occur at hospital or other than hospital? Most of the time, it's going to be other or descendant's home. You would want to specify like at the 24/7. County of death, city, town of death, location of death. Cause of death, you're going to be okay. What caused the death was I don't know, a GSW to head brain fluid showing, no resuscitation needed. You're gonna do was autopsy performed. That's always gonna be a no. You're not gonna be performing autopsies. If motor vehicle accident, specify driver, passenger, pedestrian. This did tobacco contribute? Manner of death, pending investigation, suicide, homicide. You get the point with the drop downs. Date certified. Obviously, you're gonna put the date down here. It's a little bit different than other reports, but that's all the things that we have for the reports. If you have any questions, please submit a ticket or DM me directly, and I will help you with the reports and teach you how to do them. If you want any more tips and tricks, I can also do that as well. So, with that being said, everybody have a great day, and I will see you in game.